The truth about overpaid tradesmen. So these are the day rates that are going around on Facebook at the moment. Electricians, £750 a day. Chippy, £595. Bricklayer, 600 quid. When did bricklayers take a pay cut? And of course, right, the comments are just full of this sort of nonsense. And every time somebody sees a big number like this, they decide it's a rip-off, and we're off to the races with envy, jokes, and negativity. So where have these numbers come from? Let's address that to begin with. Here's the thing, right? Those big rates that you're seeing could mean a few different things, and not all of them are what the worker actually takes home. First, agency rates. Let's talk about that. If a site hires you through an agency, the client might be paying £600, £700, £800 a day. But after the agency's taken their cut, the holiday accrual, and national insurance contributions, the worker might only see £300 to £400 of that, if they're lucky. Second, you've got self-employed day rates. Now, personally, not a huge fan of day rates. I think they're great for trying to work out how much you're going to charge on a job. But in my view, tradies, tradesmen, tradeswomen should be charging a price for a job, not on a day rate. So if you run your own business and you're working direct for the client, you could be charging £600 to £750 a day. And keep it all, but that's gross, not net. Costs still have to come out of that. Third, then you have price work. Some trades will get paid per unit, some per door. As an example, you know, if you're building like a media wall, you might price it up and say, right, well, it's £1,500 a linear metre. And you might get paid per kitchen fitted or like per lining fitted, whatever it is. On a good day, when the job goes well, everything's awesome, right? You can smash everything out, get it all done, finish, go home and be happy. But on a slow day, when you've got delays, things don't work, you fit in a kitchen and there's the wrong stuff being delivered, putting a lining in and the wall's all wonky, putting a door in and the wall's shot to pieces, you're going to earn far less than what you initially thought you were going to. And so without context, the list that you're seeing is meaningless. Might be an agency's charge out, it could be a self-employed gross rate, or it could be a once-in-a-moon price job. So why do people react the way that they did in the comments? So in the UK, right, we have a little bit of something called a tall poppy syndrome. And it never used to be like this when I was growing up. When I was growing up, we would look at people who've done really well and we'd be like, wow, man, let me achieve what that individual has achieved. How do I do that? What work do I need to do? I want to be a footballer. Do I need to go and practice every day? I want to be a guitar player, right, in a massive band. So I'm going to practice guitar every day, all day. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. I'm going to go do the work for it. I want to be an amazing tradie. So I'm going to put the time and effort in to create something that makes me proud. What seems to happen now is people look at somebody who's doing well and say, why are they doing well and I'm not? Why are they doing better than me? And they just start to pull and claw them back down to that level. And it is really sad, like really sad. Instead of thinking, how can I get to that level? It's let's cut them down to mine, hence tall poppy syndrome. And there's also this weird belief that there's a fixed pot of money in the system. And that if one individual is earning more, what they're doing is they're taking money away from everybody else, which is nonsense, right? 100% nonsense. In reality, skilled trades often create more value than what you're spending with them. They create better work, they do it quicker, and they're reliable, and you don't have to worry. That peace of mind can be worth so much money to certain individuals. But if you're looking at things through a finite pot of money, people who earn big money feel like a threat instead of an example of what's possible when you put the effort in. So let's look at the reality of PAYE versus being self-employed. With PAYE, you have a set wage. You have holiday pay, you have sick pay, you have your employer will put in pension contributions that you don't have to do. And when you clock out at the end of the day, you're done, right? You're done. Now, when you're self-employed and you're running a business, there is none of that. You don't get holiday pay, you don't get sick pay. No. The amount of times I've had to come in here, right, and just do the work regardless of how sick I feel, because that's what needs to be done. Yeah, that's part of it. And with the no holiday pay, that's 20 to 25. So that's 4 to 5 weeks a year you lose compared to other people. Then you've got your van, your tools, your insurances. You've got your fuel, your materials. So much of a pain in the butt. You might have your accountant if you don't do your own accountants. You've got to manage your tax, you've got to manage your national insurance contributions. And if you screw it up, you're going to get penalised and you're going to get a ticket from the HMRC to pay additional costs and fines. There's also the quoting and the admin time that nobody pays you for. I recently have been put in a huge amount of work, days and days of work, to get the quote for this contract that we were trying to win on a big job. Now, we've been told that we'd won it. We've been told that everything was going to go ahead. And 2 days before we signed the contract, all the work was pulled. So then I had no work for 6 weeks. I had no comeback because we hadn't signed a contract. And then I had an expectation of a huge amount of money we were going to earn, all the work we were going to do, and all of that was gone. And I'll be honest, it sucks, right? It's hard to have all of that almost there in front of you and then taken away. But it's part of the game. It's just the way it is. And the big thing that I think people don't understand is that you have to learn everything that you need to do to run the business. It's not just going out and doing the work, right? It's not just making a door, putting in linings. It's not laying the bricks or mixing them up or anything like that. You've got to be able to do everything. So if you need a website, guess who's going to make it, or you're going to have to pay somebody to do it. You want your Facebook. Who's going to be managing your Facebook account, your Instagram, your socials? You're going to do a YouTube channel. Who's going to find your work? Who's going to do the networking? Who's chasing the payments, man? Chasing payments for people that aren't paying is a massive thing at the moment. Who's writing the quotes? Who's doing the bookkeeping? Who's managing the receipts? Who's inputting all the data onto the computer? And these are all the things that the PAYE worker never sees, but still have to be done as part of running the business. So when people say, hey, you're earning 300, 400, 600,000 pounds a day, they don't see all the additional work that goes into running the business over on this side compared to being a PAYE worker who doesn't have any of those responsibilities. It's not the same thing. It's not apples for apples. It's apples for oranges. Man, it might be apples for octopus for all I care. It's so different. It just is. So I'll give you a bit of a real world example, okay? And I think this is super important because the way things are going, everything's changing. And there's a reason for that. So you might find there's lots of people who say, hey, I'm happy to work for £125 a day, they're idiots, but I'm happy to work for £150, £200 a day, right? I don't have any problem with that. I'm making good money doing that, okay? How old are you? Are you maybe 50, 55? Have you got your mortgage paid off on your £60,000 house that you bought like 20 years ago? Oh, okay, cool, because that same house now is worth how much? 400,000? Okay, so let's work out the mortgage on a £300,000 or £400,000 house that you bought for 60 grand, right? Your mortgage is paid off. Maybe your kids are left home. Maybe you've got older kids in there that are paying you rent and board. Maybe you do have a mortgage, but it's a low rate and you've still got time on it and it's like a 1%, 2% mortgage. But let's look at the average 30-year-old individual, right? So I'm going to talk from a man's perspective, okay? Because that's what I know, that's what I understand. Maybe you're 30 years old. Maybe that individual has 2 children. Maybe their house cost them 250 grand and they've got a 5% mortgage on that house. Depending on how much money they put into that house, that mortgage might be, £1,200 to £1,600 a month. Then you've got energy, 250 quid, council tax, 150, £200 a month. You got your food, what's that, £600, £700 a month now? Home insurance, car insurance. Have you got 2 cars? You've got 2 cars to pay for. Then you've got your fuel to pay for. Are you running a van? You're going to have you got your van costs? Have you got van finance? Have you gone into debt to get your van? What about your tools, your mobiles? Do you have a workshop to pay for? Have you got other household costs? Have you got your internet, your broadband, your phone? Then you've got your public liability insurance. Are you an accountant? Any training work that you need to do? Do you need to buy any big tools? The list is endless. So let's say, for argument's sake, right, tighten all of those bits and pieces up, we're talking £3,500 to £4,000 a month. So what we'll do is we'll split it in the middle, say about 3,800. Okay, 3,750. So what is that a day? 200 quid to break even? And that's break even, right? That's keeping your head above water. And the thing is with that, one bad word of mouth, one dodgy review, your van breaks, your fridge breaks, your boiler goes down, then what do? You have no money, right? That individual that's earning that £200 a day, that's breaking even on everything they do, has nothing. How do they repair all of that? They don't. So they need to start building up additional money to be able to manage that. And so, again, maybe this is why people are having to charge more and more and more and put their rates up, because those charging 150, 200 pounds a day are realistically charging what was being charged back in the early 2000s when I started working on site. So what's going on inside the industry, right, that's creating this bit of a problem and this back and forth between tradies and this rowing and this arguing? I can tell you now, rates are going to continue to rise. They're going to have to, because otherwise it becomes it's not a sustainable business model, is it? And the thing that you really have to understand is the older generation is phasing out. I heard on Fixed Radio the other day, the average age of a construction worker is now 50 to 55. I'm sure that's what they said. And so how many years have they got left? 10? Maybe 15 at a push? 10, right? They've got 10 years left. So what happens in 10 years when they're gone? And there aren't enough young people filling the roles now. They're going to have to go up. They just are. Society has spent decades, and I mean decades, telling children that the trades are a lesser job, right? They're a lesser option. You're not anything if you don't get a degree. If you want to earn good money, got to go get a degree. You look at the apprentice wage, it's relatively low. I mean, it's a lot better than what it used to be, but it's still very low. You got long hours. I used to have to do a job where we got up at 4 and I got home at 7 o'clock at night every day. And you're not just that. You've got the constant social media nonsense about people. Oh, you're ripping people off. You're a cowboy. Where's your eye patch and your parrot? Did you ride a horse when you left that person's house? Like, all of this nonsense is just battering and battering and battering these people. And so guess what? Fewer and fewer people are signing up. Nobody wants it. However, the less supply there is of people, the same or higher demand that there is going to be for them. And let's be honest, right? If the supply goes down, the demand's going to go up for those individuals, which means that the rates are going to have to go up. If you can find a decent tradie, you're going to have to pay whatever it takes to get them there to do the work for you if you can't do it. And so something that I think that is super important, right? One of the reasons I'm doing this video is about changing the conversation. We need to stop treating trades like they're trying to rob you. When your boiler breaks, when your lights are out, or when your roof is leaking, you're not paying for that few hours worth of work. What you're paying for is the skills, the experience, the investment, the tools, and the fact that that individual can do the thing that you can't do. And don't get me wrong, right? There's lots of things I can't do. There's lots of things that I have to pay people to come and do for me. I love working, genuinely love working on cars. I've replaced head gaskets and changed cam belt, no problem. But there are jobs when I take it to a mechanic, a friend of mine, to do the work for me, and I pay him because he has the tools and the knowledge and the experience that I don't have. And so I think that the really important thing at the moment is to try and get young people into the industry. We need to promote apprenticeships, and we need to respect the work and the individual that's doing that for you. Or you're going to be looking at paying £1,000 a day in the next 10 years, or £1,200, £1,500 a day for the work that you need to be done. And that's even if you can find somebody to come and do the work for you, because let's be honest, if you need them to do the work and it's something like a gas engineer or an electrician where they have to have those qualifications, you have no alternative. So anyway, look, the next time you see those big rates on Facebook, remember, it might be an agency charge out, it might be price work, or it might be a self-employed individual who's working ridiculous hours to try and make ends meet, and he hasn't even taken his costs off of that amount yet. And if it is the actual take home of a skilled individual, man, good for you. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you because you've earned every penny. And as long as you're doing things right and you've got your morals and your work is solid, get at it as far as I'm concerned. Because the people complaining about £600 a day today are the same people that are going to have to be paying £1,200 in a few years' time, if they can get anyone at all. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's made you think. If you have any questions, comments, or anything like that, I'd love to know below. Do you work in the industry? Have you worked in the industry? Do you know people or have family that want to get into it? Please, 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 let's have a decent conversation in the comments, because I feel very passionate about this. And on my next video, I'm going to talk about why skilled trades are about to be the best paid job in the United Kingdom. All right? Thank you very much for watching. You are awesome if you're still here. You have a great day. You take it easy. And I shall catch you on the next one.